Welcome to Patrick's Scale Studio. My name is Patrick and I'll be your host. So right here in front of us we've got USS CV-2 Lexington. It's USS Lexington CV-2. They didn't name it like that. And it's in May of 1942. This is in 1/350th scale by Trumpeter. Odd that this kit has been out since 2019 and there's not a lot of it out there on YouTube or the web right now as far as good builds go, or even box reviews here. So figure we go ahead and go through this a little bit quickly and talk about the aftermarket that I attained for this, because I'm going to build this. So we'll start off here with the instructions. This is typical Trumpeter instructions where it's in a booklet style. You get this, and you get a sprue call out, more sprue and plastic call outs. Alright, and then we go into the assembly process right here. We are attaching some gun tubs and some parts into the upper part of the hull right here. This looks like the little areas that housed ship's boats, and it looks like it also has an aft deck that sinks down right there on the lower portion on the stern. And we start putting in some of the guns. We got 5-inch guns, the 1.1-inch guns, they say 28mm, and the 20mm Oerlikons right there. And we start seeing some of the ship's boats go in. More guns, bulkheads, ship's boats. Alright, and elevator assembly going onto part of the flight deck. It's labeled as center flight deck, you know, which is pretty nice. 2019 or not, at least they've got some of these parts labeled a little bit. More flight deck right there, including the center portion with the elevators. Get this out of the way here. And then it looks like we've got some more parts going onto the flight deck, including some ladders. Crane there, and more ladders, some ship's boats. Alright, and then we get into the island assembly. It doesn't look like this is anything too difficult to accomplish. Move over here. More island assembly, some gun tubs, radar systems, the mast assembly. Alright, and here we go with more of the guns going onto the island structure. This is actually the funnel structure, my bad. It looks like because this is probably going to be a little thin, they've got some spacers here to keep that from caving in on itself. More guns. More funnel, and it looks like here we've got some of the 50 caliber water-cooled guns. And at the very end here it says completion, where you're either joining all of this beautiful detailed assembly that you just put together onto finally a waterline plate, or the full hull. Now I have had a look inside the kit already, opened up the bags and everything like that, and you are bordering on madness if you are going to do all of this and then put either of these whole bottoms onto this and then try to get it to look smooth. And then on the very last page we've got the assembly of some of the ship's aircraft complement. It looks like Wildcats, SBDs, and TBDs. Alright, so we'll go ahead and put that aside. Again, pretty standard Trumpeter instructions. The color call out for 1942. It's got that bluish color, and it's got the color call outs for the aircraft that complemented the ship. You can see it's got a lot of guns. There's a lot of aftermarket that had to go into this in order to bring it up to a level I'm going to be happy with. So let's go ahead and open the box. And it is a long box. And as you'd see, like I said, I've already opened up bags and everything like that, and I started playing around with the plastic. It's like just getting a new toy. It's just about impossible to keep from opening things up and oohing and awing and run your hands over the plastic. But as you can see, as they are right now, this upper hull part and lower hull part do not fit ideally. So there's going to be quite a bit of clamping in order to get that to fit, and then probably really filling up a seam. The red plastic is a little too red, but everything matches up from front to back, which is a good thing. And it also has some spacers right here. So probably what's happening is this lower hull is cupping in a little bit, so I might be able to take some plastic spacers and put them in there to kind of get that to spread a little bit. I don't know, we'll see. But I'll go ahead and put the upper and lower hull parts aside for now. Here is the waterline plate if you are going to build this as a waterline model. I will not be. Put that aside, nothing else in there. I thought so. I'll go ahead and open up this bag here. And right off the bat we get F sprues, and there's 2 of them. So I'll put one aside here. Alright, so 5-inch guns, 20mm Oerlikons, 50 caliber water-cooled machine guns. Looks like the shields that go on the Oerlikons, the 1.1-inch guns, some of the Carly floats, some of the systems, anchors, propellers, part of the mast assembly. It's odd for Trumpeter. Usually these come in like a photo etch. I don't know, but not terrible. You get 2 of these sprues. Go ahead and put those back together, slide them back into their plastic bag, and move on to the next bag of parts on the right here. And this is just a spacer. Don't let it fool you. It's not full of sprues all the way down to the bottom. Here we go with island parts. Part of the mast assembly. They've already got the ropes put on there in plastic. Not sure if we'll keep those and redo them in brass wire. More parts right there. The detail's quite nice on it. No lie there. I think this is the inside of the elevator because it seems like there's rails right there. And that's kind of detailed in a way that maybe it's meant for the elevators on the deck. And then it looks like these here are the tubs that go on the, I think it's the starboard side of the ship where the ship's boats are going to be nestled. Maybe it's the port. I don't recall right now without looking at something. But I'll put those back in. Again, the parts aren't bad. In 2019, it's only 7 years ago. Not terrible, but they really could have done a better job on the upper and lower hull join areas. Oh well, we'll struggle through that. Start off with the screws on the left. Well, your right, my left. Here is the funnel structure. Little platform that goes on that. Looks like this is where we're going to be lining this up with 50 caliber water-cooled machine guns. So nothing, again, terribly difficult about putting this together. Alright, next bag here. Nope. Little spare sprue that was included and taped to there. I hadn't noticed that it was taped, but I'm going to untape it. And it looks like that is just a little bit of, I don't know, some kind of bracing or something like that for the flight deck. Looks like it kind of duplicates that, and I think there's another part for that somewhere around here. But here we got parts of the upper hull and the propeller shafts, the rudders, some of these gun tubs. Put this bracing aside. And here we go with parts for the elevators and the island. I'm not sure really what these are. Possibly, I don't know. It doesn't do any good to speculate at this point because I'll probably be way off. So put this back. I'm going to take those that tiny little bag of bracings and I'm going to put them in this box with what looks like the aircraft. Put that aside. All right, here is the decking. All right, so I believe this is the stern part of the flight deck. And there's the midsection of the flight deck. These will go together like so. Boy, that's a tight fit if that's really is the case. But it's not terrible. Most of this is going to have to get pulled off so we can replace it with photo etch. We're going to replace this with a wooden deck. It's not terrible as far as the detail there on the flight deck. It could have used, you know, breaks in those planks, but it is what it is. That's the reason why we get aftermarket, right? Alright, here is the bow, the ship right here, where this is the flight deck overhanging the bow right there. And again, nets that we're going to have to pull off. But again, not terrible. I would hate to have to fill all these ejector pin marks on the bottoms of these nets if I were going to keep that. And this is the portion that goes over the stern. The flight deck's over here, and this is going to go underneath it on the stern. This back in there. And we're almost through this kit as far as all the parts that it has to offer. And then you get this is typical Trumpeter stand. It's got the nameplate for it and the cradle that'll rest the ship if you decide to use it. I really need to start keeping an eye on that battery. I was going on about the typical Trumpeter stand and the nameplate here. This is in one piece. It's not terrible. It's not the worst thing you can have. I like putting mine on brass pedestals so you can kind of see all the way underneath the hull without having to get right down and... But yeah, I probably won't be using this either. Back in the box it goes. And our deck pieces, stuff back, and we'll have a look now here at our aircraft complement. Alright, so we've got, let's see, it tells us what they are on the sprue or not. No, it just labels them as the eye sprue. We've got 2 of this type of aircraft, 3 of this type of aircraft, 3 more of that type, and 4, I can definitely see those are Wildcats. I think these are Dauntless. Yeah, I think these are Avengers. You don't really get a full aircraft complement, so I might look into aftermarket to fill out the aircraft complement a little bit more. I don't know, we'll see. Just depends on how busy that deck gets. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this stuff aside, and sorry about the camera. We get into a little bit of the aftermarket. So try to have a more detailed aircraft carrier. So first, we got the Artwalks wooden deck for this. Now you can get the Lexington and Saratoga were both in the same ship class, but in comparing, I had a really hard time finding this. I had to go to eBay to get it. And I was almost about to pull the trigger on the Saratoga deck, but it is not the same. So don't think you can get away with getting the Lexington model and getting a Saratoga wooden deck, because it is not the same and the parts won't match up. But it's nice, you get some instructions, you get some masks here if you want to paint some of the earlier markings onto it, and you get an anchor chain right there. Now, anchor chain is really not of big importance on this ship because it doesn't have an anchor well or any area that you can see with anchor chains, unless you're going to have your anchors lowered. So not a big deal for the anchor chains. This right here is a photo etch set made specifically for the Lexington as well, from Gold Medal Models. As you can see, it's got all of the nets that are going to go on around the flight deck. It's got all the ladders, it's got parts for the aircraft complement, parts for Carly floats, parts for the 5-inch guns, 20-inch guns, some bracing. I think these are called palisades. And a bunch of railings right here, watertight doors. So it looks like this should do the trick. And even better, that mast I was calling out that already had the ropes molded in plastic. Let's see if we can get away with showing this off without any glare. Well, they've got this part right here. So yeah, I will be ripping off that part of the mast molded in plastic and replacing it there with that. So, and it comes with a pretty decent set of instructions back there for a photo etch set. So I'll be interested to see how this goes on. I've never used Gold Medal Models photo etch set before. So, all right. Next up, from Infini, we've got a World War II U.S. Navy radar set, and this is in 1/350th. And this should help us complement the ship with some more accurate radar systems here. I have not yet dug in enough to know which one of these in particular that I'll be using, but it's got enough in there for, let's see what it tells us, a couple XAF, one XAF radar, one CXAM radar, one CXAM 1-1 radar, one SK radar, one SK2 radar, and let's go ahead and actually open it up. 4 SG radars, 2 SC radars. That would have been helpful if that came in 1/200 for Fletcher. 2 SC2 radars, 2 YE radars, and 2 SM radars. And it's got a pretty decent set of instructions, kind of showing how everything folded together. Set also includes the turned brass parts. You kind of see those wiggling around down here. So, very nice set. It looks really clean. I just hope it's not terribly difficult to get together. All right, we also got some barrels for the 1.1 inch guns. I don't even know if those, yeah, you can just barely make those out right there. So I had to get 2 sets of these right now. There's only 20 barrels per set, and that would only make up 5 1.1 inch guns on the ship, and the ship had more than 5. So I believe it had 8. So I had to get 2 sets of those. Anchor set for a heavy light cruiser with a chain, and I felt like this was applicable since Lexington actually started off life as a battle cruiser and got converted later on into, before it was completed, it got converted into an aircraft carrier. So I think this will be applicable. Alright, and then we've got, these are from China, some 3D printed 5-inch guns. The detail looks good, but I'm not 100% thrilled with them because, as you can see, the barrels are all warped. They just look like they're not interested in having a good time. But the platforms look nice. Some of the railings a little warped as well on the other set, so I can pull those off, and the Gold Medal Model set has a photo etch railing for those. So a little bit of hot water should help me straighten these barrels back out and get them eager for battle. Alrighty, and now we've got a 20 millimeter Oerlikon set. There's 25 of these, and this is for Infinity model. And this might be, my wife's gonna rollerize at this, might be the smallest pieces of photo etch I've ever had to assemble together. I don't know. We'll have a look at the 50 calibers here soon. But that's what you get. You get enough to make 25 guns. Nice little instruction set in there. One thing to call out about the instruction set is it is kind of a generic for the Royal Navy, USN Rectangular, and Chamfered Oerlikon guns. And yeah, that's it. So put that back in there. And when I say my wife's going to rollerize, she's wholly supportive of me doing this. I mean, it's better than me going out and doing something awful or destructive or getting into trouble. As she just doesn't understand how I have patience to do something like this when I'm not terribly patient in just about any other aspect of my life. Alright, so this is by Infinity 25 50 caliber water-cooled machine guns. Alright, yeah, I guess that is smaller. So talk about patience, this is going to be a big exercise in patience. And again, this is kind of a generic instruction sheet that you get for either IJN dual guns, 13 millimeter twin machine guns, or the US 50 cal water-cooled machine gun set. Well, that wraps it up for the photo etch. The next video coming out for this is going to be the party that we're all going to have, trying to get the upper and lower hull halves together without it looking atrocious. So until that fun time comes out, please stay safe and happy modeling.